Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca, or Rebs for short, and happy New Year's Eve! I'm here with a few project updates for you all. First, a quick recap because I keep assuming that people have seen an unfinished melody before watching some of the other new videos on this channel, when so far that has not been the case. 5 years ago, I made TJLC Explained, and in the years since, I have felt a lot of shame and regret about that. If you've seen some of the other videos on this channel, or if you've been following me on Twitter or Tumblr, you'll probably notice that I seem to be in a better place now than I was when I made an unfinished melody. And part of that is while working on some of these projects, I have continued to work through some of my issues surrounding what happened with the show. But a large part of it is the wonderful response I got to that video. You all were so generous and kind towards me, and that has made a huge difference to the way I look back on the channel. So I cannot thank you enough for that. This all started because back in July, I ended up rewatching BBC Sherlock and realized when I did that this show was still shaping who I was as a person, whether I wanted it to or not. And realizing that was happening for better or worse, I realized I didn't want that story to continue to be a source of pain. I wanted to try to take it and make something better out of it, for myself and for the people who watch this channel. So I had two strategies for doing that. One was finishing the story I presented on TJLC Explained. If I had things more or less completely right in 2016, and insane wish fulfillment, television history, love conquers all meant what I had wanted it to mean, what would that version of the story have looked like? I now have an answer to that question. That answer is my reimagining of Series 4 called From a Drop of Water. I made a video about it back when the first chapter was released on November 5th, 2021, and I'm happy to tell you that as of today, December 31st, all 13 chapters of that story are now available. So if you were holding off on reading it until it was no longer a work in progress, you're in luck, the story is there. From a Drop of Water includes almost all of my old reading of the show. So from things like the phone heart metaphor and drink code, to abundant use of mirror characters, to references to the private life of Sherlock Holmes and incorporating the blog into the story, and especially that M-Theory plus meta-commentary layer. And I think if you liked TJLC Explained and the story presented there, you'll like From a Drop of Water. To everyone who's been reading and commenting so far, I cannot thank you enough. Your encouragement has kept me going throughout the editing process, and I am so touched by how many people have said that the story has helped them rediscover their love for the show, or has at the very least helped them feel a little bit less bad about having loved the story to begin with. That is exactly what I hope to accomplish, and I am honored to have succeeded in any small way. Obviously, I'm recording this in advance, so the final chapter isn't out quite yet, but I really hope you all enjoy where the story ends. The story was essentially one big love letter to the show, my time with it, and to all of you, and I hope that shines through. I am not capable of giving you what I promised you, which was television history. I've done the closest I could, which is give you a version of the story told by someone who cares about you and thinks stories about people like you are worth telling. That was only half of what I wanted to do, though. It's one thing to take the narrative setup we were given and turn that into a good story. It's another to take the show we were actually given and make a good story out of that. But that is what I am trying to do in a final retrospective look back on BBC Sherlock and TJLC. I've mentioned in an unfinished melody that I have tried to make this video dozens of times over the years, and even over the course of the last few months, it has continued to evolve. But I think in the end, the video has turned into a much more positive and hopeful one than I ever thought was possible. Originally, I wanted to have that retrospective out on January 15th. The scope of the project has continued to expand though. Specifically, watching BBC Dracula did a lot to change the way I think and feel about BBC Sherlock. So that necessitated me giving myself a bit of extra time on the project. So right now, fingers crossed, instead of that video coming out on the anniversary of the final problem, it will instead release on the anniversary of the day Sherlock Holmes and John Watson met, January 29th.
What shall we say?
29th?
29th.
As good a day as any, Johnny.
If you guys haven't seen Dracula, you're in for a time. Just so you can have your expectations set going in, the video is in sort of a strange middle ground between being supportive of a TJLC reading while also being fairly skeptical of it as well, because that is ultimately where I have ended up. To sum up where I've landed on the show, I do still think TJLC is the best way to make sense of the show before series 4, and I think it is the best way to make sense of it after series 4. However, I am also aware that perhaps BBC Sherlock is not a show that does make sense in the way I might want it to. And I'm okay with that. Most of the video is not going to be trying to advocate that TJLC is the correct reading. Even the section of the video that will be a 49th episode of TJLC Explained is not going to be trying to convince you that it is the correct reading. Instead, I hope for those of you who were involved in TJLC and feel embarrassed about that I can help you see some of the evidence that was there, the ways that it was a story that did make sense, and help you feel a little bit better about the story we got. So those are the main 2 projects. I do also have a couple of other side projects as well. One of the things I've been doing to prepare for the episode 49 section of the video has been watching series 4 of BBC Sherlock multiple times. I love you guys a lot, and I just want you to know that I love you. One of the things I noticed pretty quickly upon rewatching series 4 the first time was that a lot of the score was recycled from older episodes. So one of the watch-throughs that I did, God, I have watched series 4 way too many times now, was purely listening for those songs that I recognized and identifying the scene they were originally from. I don't want the episode 49 section to be too large, so I have decided to turn that into its own video. It's not going to be an exhaustive video by any means. It's really only the more obvious reuses of a score in series 4, and the analysis is not going to be particularly deep or thorough, but hopefully for those who are interested in the topic, it can be a useful tool. The other project I've been working on is that while writing From a Drop of Water, I happened to notice a way that several different elements of the show fit together that I never had before. Because it was a natural lead-in to the version of the Garrodebs moment that I wanted, I ended up writing most of series 4 around it. But the longer I looked at it, the more and more support I found, and that only became more true after watching BBC Dracula. So I have been working on a written meta, essentially justifying my idealized end to the story. That meta is called The Great Heart app and is a sort of comparative analysis of BBC Sherlock, the Holmes canon, BBC Dracula, Dracula by Bram Stoker, and the fairy tale Snow White. I mostly wrote it for fun because it was so enjoyable working this thread into my own story that I wasn't quite ready to let it go when I was done with From a Drop of Water. So it's not going to be turned into a video or anything like that, but I probably will let you guys know when that's done and ready to read. I am still planning to do a podfic of From a Drop of Water. I don't know quite when I will start recording that or when it will be out, but again, I will be sure to let you know on this channel. And the other thing is that in this process, I have rediscovered both a love of writing and of analysis, which has been wonderful for me. And because of that, I think it's likely that I will probably make more video essays in the future, just not on this channel, because if I did, then anyone who clicked on a newer video's recommendations would just be filled with TJLC Explained, and I don't think the world needs that. So if and when I do ever decide to make a new analysis channel, I will be sure to let you know that here as well. Also, there is a small video project that goes along with the end of From a Drop of Water that will be out tomorrow, so look forward to that. So I think that's everything. I just want to thank you all again for being such a kind and generous audience. I could not ask for a better one, and I hope some of these projects can give back some of the love and joy that you all have given to me. So I'll see you back tomorrow for that secret video project. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a very happy new year.